Previously, after a hospitalized Asuma denied enjoying the game planet, Taichiro became upset. Wanting to escape reality, he logged into the game but found that he couldn't. Upon realizing he got hacked, he employed the skills that he learned from his father long ago, unearthing memories of the past in the process. Now that he's back inside the game, Taichiro looks for the Blackbird, only to find the pirates bombarding their barrier. Their leader, Pico, whose obsession with Ichi knows no bounds, is determined to take down the barrier. In a moment of honesty, she tells her first mate, Shigatera, that what she really wants isn't the Blackbird, but Ichi. To show his support, Shigatera tells her to do whatever she needs to do and volunteers to take care of their guild in her absence. Feeling grateful, Pico relinquishes the guild's leadership to him, while he assures her that it's only temporary, intending to return to being her first mate when she gets back. Pico's loyal members get worried, fearing that they'll lose the haven that helps them unwind after being stressed in the real world. Just then, Leon and Sasumata appear, offering them magic attenuators from the Granada Company that are guaranteed to dissolve any barrier. Pico feels offended to be offered such a product and thinks they're looking down on her. To prove she doesn't need their help, Pico brings down her axe and breaks the Akabane family's barrier, before encountering the guy she's doing all this for. Meanwhile, Asuma is visited by a stranger, who creepily calls him handsome out of the blue. Suspiciously, she wants him to keep what happened to him a secret from his father. Back in the game, Ichi and Pico exchange blows. If the girl wins their fight, she wants Ichi to join the pirates, to which he agrees. Somehow, fighting each other is quite nostalgic and Pico can't help but reminisce about their past. Back then, the girl had been feeling lonely when she spotted someone as emo as her. Her attempt to befriend him ends up with her head rolling on the ground, but when she curses at him, it's the start of a wonderful friendship. In the present, it's Ichi who ends up winning, and it evokes tears of frustration from the girl, who asks her once friend why he chose to join the Akabane family and not the pirates. As Ichi is the victor, he merely invites the girl to a party, saying he wants her to help find the Blackbird. In some secret control room, the stranger from earlier, Hana, lies to Kojiro about Agdiole's identity, and it seems like the woman harbors some icky feelings toward the married man. Thankfully, Kojiro is a consistent bastard.
Yeah, boy.
And he tells the woman that not only is she being inappropriate, but her perfume also stinks.
Nice.
Back in the game, when Ichi admits that he doesn't mind hanging out with Pico, she questions him why he avoided her. He answers it's because she'd been insistent on wanting to meet with him in real life, which he wasn't comfortable with. She implores him to join the pirates while he also invites her to join the family, but then she refuses. Even though she built the guild for Ichi, she can't leave her guild members. Taichiro reflects upon the real reason why he left her. He started wanting to meet up with her in real life too. Meanwhile, Shigatera does a complete 180 and starts talking crap about Pico. He removes her from the guild and announces that Pirates is disbanded. Immediately, Pico returns to the ship and realizes that Shigatera has planned all this to happen from the start. He intends to quit the game soon, but the girl says he doesn't need to do that as they can just go their separate ways. Shigatera is astounded before declaring she gives him the creeps. What he meant is that he'll stop playing once he has caught the Blackbird. He starts disparaging relationships that are built online, calling them superficial, but Ichi doesn't agree with him. Everyone is surprised by his presence, and when Shigatera insults the Akabane family, Ichi loses it and destroys the entire ship. Back then, Pico, who was originally against player killing, created the pirates for Ichi's sake, but because he chose to run away from her, she became the figurehead who received everyone's hate. Thinking that it's up to him to make things right, Ichi tells Pico that he's going to join the pirates, much to her delight. Back at the control room, Kojiro instructs Hana to contact HQ and cancel the 300 million yen cash prize, but she tells him it's unlikely to happen. The man predicts more people will die, and that soon the whole world will turn against him. To stop the ship from falling, Leon uses his ability, Gravity Behemoth, causing the whole vessel to suspend in the air. Intending to become Pirates Guildmaster, Ichi tells Pico that he doesn't intend to leave the Akabane family, but the girl doesn't care as she's too happy that she gets to play with him again. They're going to rebuild the pirates from scratch, and Pico's loyal friends want in on it too. Just then, Shigatera emerges from within the ship, wearing the superweapon that only the Guildmaster can use, the Pirate Centurion. As the performance of the guild weapon depends on the number of guild members, Shigatera now wields the power of 3,000 pirates. Ichi engages him in a fight, but he's simply too strong. Meanwhile, Kojiro realizes that Ichi was able to log in despite the block that Hana put for all the Akabane family members. Feeling bad for her failure, she begs to be punished, but the man has no time for her creepiness as he needs to log in. On the ship, Ichi loses an arm, but he manages to stop Shigatera from moving. The traitor asks Leon to help him, but since he doesn't want to earn Ichi's wrath, he refuses. Pico already wants to stop the fight, as after all, it's just a game, but she knows saying those words would set her friend off. Unlike Ichi, Pico hasn't given up on the real world and she dearly wants to meet her friend. The former pirate's leader reveals a way to defeat the pirate centurion by destroying the flag that's in her cabin. She volunteers to do it, but before she goes, Ichi makes it clear to her that he's playing the game not because it's fun, but because his life in the real world is crap. As it seems that he's abandoned the real world. Pico mourns, but her tears are interrupted when she encounters Shiro in the cabin. Memories from the past start flooding in. Pico, who lives in a large mansion with security guards to boot, has her life controlled by her mother. As the older woman can't follow her to planet, the game has become her escape, and again, she wishes she could meet Ichi in real life as well. Initially obedient to her mother's demands, Pico is lonely until she decides to live for herself. She opens up to a group of girls and experiences happiness, realizing that even though the real world may be full of pain, it's worth living in it. Later, when she gets home, her anxious mother is furious, but this time, Pico stands up for herself. Currently, Pico loses an arm and she can't figure out what Shiro's problem is, that he would just attack her suddenly. When she discovers that the Akabane family hasn't ever met each other in real life once, Pico becomes convinced they're the ones that are ruining Ichi's perception of the real world. Bluntly, Shiro reveals that Pico is a core of the Blackbird, a power source. As she's looking confused, the man explains that Blackbird is the ultimate AI, and as one of its sources that support its growth, Pico is one as well. The girl tells him he isn't making sense, and proceeds to engage the man in a fight, but she's no match for him. When the girl doesn't give up, Shiro starts revealing information about her. She's horrified by all the private things that he knows about her, but he doesn't stop there. He reveals that the real Pico is a younger sister of a former subordinate whose memory they digitized. Pico tries logging out, but she can't, proving Shiro's words that she's an AI. Later, Hana reports that the damage on Pico's body now exceeds 100%, which means they can now uninstall her. Shiro feels regretful, and as Pico's body starts to disappear, she becomes lucid. The man is morbidly curious at what an AI feels or thinks before passing away, and he becomes stunned when Pico's last words are a confession of her feelings to his virtual son. Unbeknownst to Ichi, Pico is now fully uninstalled. Ichi becomes worried that Pico hasn't returned yet, while Shigatera is finally freed from his restraints. Meanwhile, Kojiro feels dizzy after having fully synced with his avatar. As he needs to end the other AIs, he needs to rest before he proceeds with the plan again. At the same time, Shigatera barges into the captain's cabins, but he doesn't find Pico anywhere. Outside, he's already made short work of the girl's allies, including Ichi, who demands that he doesn't quit yet so he and Pico can take revenge. With the hindrances gone and his part of the deal done, Shigatera demands that it's time for Leon to summon the Blackbird so he can defeat it with the guild weapon. He's expecting that by the end of that day, he'll quit the game and have 300 million yen in cold cash. When the Blackbird appears, it's a creepy-looking thing, and contrary to expectation, Shigatera doesn't put up much of a fight against it, as he only gets shoved off the ship. After logging out, Shigatera is still spooked by the encounter he had with the Blackbird, and he berates himself for chickening out. He doesn't notice that it's behind him, seemingly having followed the guy to reality. Kojiro tells a listening Hana that Blackbird is the most powerful and the worst AI that he's ever created. It's a life form, an ultimate computer virus that infects people's minds, and 3 people have been killed by it already. When Shigatera tries logging in again, he fails, so he decides to take a break. Outside, he receives a notification that the endurance tests are starting, and right off the bat, he fatally gets hit by a wild truck-kun, only to find himself inside a burning room. The man experiences death again and again in many different ways. Inside the game, Leon tells Sasumata that anyone directly infected by the Blackbird's body dies instantly, and their mind gets digitized before being taken to a world that's neither reality nor planet. Meanwhile, Kojiro fears that if they don't erase Blackbird now, the real world will be in trouble. When Ichi realizes that Pico suddenly disappeared like her whole character has been deleted, he becomes devastated, and for once, the virtual world is worse than the real world. As he sobs, someone approaches him. It's his mom, Sayaka, who comforts him. Later, he discovers that his mom has been staying at a net cafe, and now that she's cleaned up around the house, she's leaving once again. Taichiro tells her that both his father and brother got hospitalized, and since Sayaka is worried about Asuma, he accompanies her to the hospital. Upon reaching his younger brother's room, they see Asuma looking hollow-eyed with blood dripping down his cheeks.